Halema Buzayan thought he was living the American dream. He emigrated from Libya 30 years ago, became a research scientist at UC Davis, and earned good money in local real estate. Then one night last summer, the police came to his door.
The other officer came in and went this way, and he put his hand on the gun.
It all began 6 days before in this parking lot. According to a police report, 2 witnesses spot the Buzayan's SUV moving near a sedan. They do not see contact between the 2 vehicles, but notice some damage to the car as the family's SUV pulls away. The witnesses leave a note for the sedan's owner, Adrian Wanoff. With the help of Davis police, she reaches the Buzayans.
They said they hadn't hit anybody's car and that they didn't think that they did it.
Her bumper is much lower than my bumper.
The damage to the 2 vehicles doesn't seem to match, and no one in the family recalls any collision. But Jamal writes a check for $870 anyway.
And the lady came and took it on the 10th and cashed it. And it was over with.
That's what he thought. Police recordings of interviews with the Buzayans explain why the trouble had just begun.
Can I come inside and talk to you for a second?
Throughout this ordeal, the family insists the mother, Najat, was driving the SUV at the time. But Davis Police Officer Pheng Ly doesn't buy it. He whispers into his microphone about Najat's demeanor.
The subject kind of has a smile on her face when she's telling me all this. I think she knows more than what she's saying.
Then the officer takes note of Najat's traditional headscarf.
The interesting thing I noticed about the mom is she wears a something over her head, and the daughter doesn't. And the witnesses didn't mention anything about that. I think they would have mentioned that to me. So probable the daughter was driving the car.
Lee never bothers to ask Najat about her scarf. If he had, he would have found out that both the mother and her daughter Halema wear them sometimes. Still, the officer has the 2 witnesses check a photo lineup with Halema's picture. One identifies her as the driver, the other picks someone else. Davis police did not take what would seem to be the obvious next step. Whitney Lay is the Buzayans' attorney.
They never conducted any lineup that included a photograph of the mother, which is standard police procedure and something that really surprised me in this case.
Who was driving?
It was my mother who was driving.
No question about that.
There was no question, no.
The records show Halema and her mother never vary from the story. Still, 6 days after the incident, 3 days after the family paid the bill, Officer Lee is back at the Buzayans' home, 9:30 on a school night, with backup.
I was really scared of them because both have hands on the gun.
The officer asks Jamal to see his daughter Halema, the 16-year-old honor student, but she's asleep. He offers to bring her to the station in the morning, but Lee insists. Halema comes down the stairs and gets the shock of her life.
Well, based on my investigation, okay, I believe that you were driving the car, okay? So I am placing you under arrest, okay?
Halema asks to change out of her pajamas, but Officer Lee insists she just throw on socks and shoes. Her father stands by helplessly.
That was the most humiliating experience I had in my life. And you know you're just hopeless, and you don't even know what is going to happen.
The officer drives Halema to the police station, interrogates her, and books her. He tells the girl again and again to just tell the truth, even while fingerprinting her.
He takes my fingerprints, and every time he pushes down really hard. And he tells me, tell the truth, that's all you have to do. And he just seems so angry with me.
I think the arrest was over the top in this case.
Dean Johnson is a former San Mateo County prosecutor and legal analyst for ABC7. He makes 3 points. The police violated Halema's constitutional rights by entering the home without saying they were there for an arrest. They treated the girl as if she were an adult accused of a felony. The police violated their own policy against filing criminal charges in a minor hit and run if it's been settled civilly.
It's really about whether the officer violated Halema's civil rights in the larger sense of undertaking this investigation, prosecution, and arrest because of her ethnic or religious background.
We wanted to ask Davis Police Chief Jim Hyde about the case. He agreed to an interview and then backed out as we were setting up our gear.
Chief!
The chief's staff grabbed us and tried to force us out, including Assistant Chief Stephen Pierce.
You don't need to push me.
Well, look, I'm asking you to leave,
Do not
sir.
touch me, man.
I'm asking you to leave, sir.
I'm happy to leave.
But there are a lot of issues. You can't touch me, you can't touch the camera. We are happy to leave, we'll take our gear.
Please.
But Assistant Chief, we need to talk to you about this thing. Chief Hyde later sent a statement that reads in part, the department handled this case precisely as it would any other instance involving similar circumstances. But we never had the opportunity to ask police officials the central question. Is there an issue with racism on the police force?
It appears that way. It appears that way.
Well, the head of the city's Human Relations Commission believes it's a growing problem in Davis. Just last week, dozens of people came to the city council meeting to complain about discrimination by Davis police.
If this type of behavior is allowed to continue into our community, who knows how many other people this can happen to. So we must stand up for one before it happens to others.
Cecilia Greenwald's been pushing for more police oversight. But the mayor of Davis defends the department and its handling of the Buzayan case.
I'm comfortable with the process and with the procedure that we followed. So.
Have you actually heard ever of a teenager being arrested for a minor fender bender like this?
This is the first case that I've heard of since I've been mayor.
Yolo County District Attorney David Henderson is moving forward with Halema's prosecution. He didn't return our repeated phone calls and didn't speak with us when we went to his office this week. The victim in this case is outraged.
For them to prosecute something like this is a bumper bender in a parking lot, really makes me question, like, where the priorities are.
A judge could dismiss the charges against Halema Buzayan next week, but the matter is far from over. The family is planning a civil rights lawsuit against the city of Davis and Yolo County.
What do you want?
I want justice, which is in specific terms. Are we treated the same as anybody else in Davis, or have we been treated differently? They need to answer that question.